What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for coming back to Cobra TV, and this is our short mini-series on the classes in Cyberpunk 2077, where we take a look at what they've said in the interviews and we compare it to the lore of Cyberpunk. The classes that we could choose to either fully upgrade to or mix and match the skills are Netrunner, Techie, and Solo. And today on Cobra TV, we're going to be talking about Netrunner. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join this awesome community. We talk about games in development, and we also do a live show where people get to call in and talk about details and features of the games that we're covering while we all wait for them to come out. So today we're going to be talking about Netrunners. We're going to be talking about who are Netrunners, what are they, and where do they operate. Before we start talking about the details and the lore, let's take a look at public statements in an interview about what they plan to have in the game for Netrunners. So Weber was asked, another big part of the Cyberpunk fantasy is net running. How far will you let players take that in the game? Which is a very important question because there is a lot of lore for Netrunners. Weber responds by saying, we have the fluid class system for you to choose which skills you want. So you don't have to pick Netrunner at the beginning, but you can choose those skills from the skill tree. If you want tech skills as well, you can have those. If you want to say, well, I just want to play Cyberpunk as a Netrunner, and you want to spend all of your skills there, we want to design quests in a way that you feel like you're playing it as a Netrunner. So the game's going to pretty much change based on a lot of things, based on the character creation, based on the actions and decisions that you make in the game, and based on what kind of skills you build your character up to be. It won't be that instead of kicking open a door, you hack it open instead. No, we are trying to make it interesting so the Netrunner really has a different path. The fantasy of the Netrunner is they can almost use the net like magic. Of course, first you have to get into the network of wherever you are, but once you're in there, you are in control. If there's a security facility, you don't need to be afraid of turrets. You could turn them on your enemies while you are back there sitting safe. So this way you can have that fantasy. But the important part is we don't want to get into a situation where we are saying the Netrunner is the guy who cannot fight. We want to give you as a Netrunner interesting skills, so if there is combat, you can use those skills in an interesting way. So those are the intentions for Netrunner in the game. Now let's move our attention to who is a Netrunner. Netrunners are the type of savvy computer hackers you would find in the movie Hackers, but with a cybernetically augmented interface system implanted into their body. Using their brain-computer interface implants, they roam the internet looking for systems to hack and information to sell to fixers. Although anyone can enter the net, most people can't use the menu. The menu is a group of apps, that are interface programs that allows a Netrunner to locate remote, run software, control remote, LDL link, load, create, and delete. But who are they? At 3, your parents bought you an old Apple IV GS with a Radius 241 wall screen, and your life was changed. By 5th grade, you'd already mastered everything the school computer literacy lab could throw at you. You were already using C++ and Metalingua to crack into the district's mainframe and change your grades. When you were 13, you shifted enough funds out of unprotected trans-American bank accounts to finance your first neuro interface plugs. Now, nothing can stop you with your direct mental link to the computer. You can plug headfirst into the dizzying data winds of the net. The worldwide telecommunication systems that joins humanity together as an electronic wraith. You are the ultimate hacker, your brain wired into special modems and computer links. You slip into the hardest mainframe systems with ease. Your defense and offense programs are arrayed at a touch of your mental fingertips. A quick jolt of demon or vampire and the data fortresses fall. IBM, ITT, Sony Matsushita Ford. You've tackled them all, buying, trading, and selling their deepest secrets at will. Sometimes you uncover important things, corporate treachery or deadly secrets, but that's not why you netrun. You live for the new program, the next satellite downlink, the next piece of hot data that comes your way. It's only a matter of time, you think. Every year, the counter-intrusion programs get better, the artificial intelligence smarter. Sooner or later, a faster program or programmer's going to catch up with you. Reach out with electronic fingertips through your interface plugs and stop your heart. But time's on your side, and until the ride runs out, you'll be there, bare-brained and head first in the net. So now that we know a little bit more about netrunners, let's take a look at where they operate. And they operate in the net. But what is the net? The net is a name given to a vast telecommunications network of the cyberpunk world. It's analogous to the real-world internet, which was still in its infancy at the time of Cyberpunk 2020 came out, but much more extensive, including things like appliances and even cybernetic limbs. The net is made up of hardlines, radio links, cell networks, microwave transmitters, and anything else that can transmit information from one computer to another. Access to the net requires a modem of some kind. It is possible to use the net the way that we use the internet in real life, with a computer or terminal, keyboard, and a video display, also called vidboards. But the professionals experience the net in 3 dimensions, using a complex cybernetic interface called a cyber modem. People who use cyber modems are called netrunners. A cyber modem provides an experience that is much more immersive and intuitive than the traditional keyboard computer interface. This allows netrunners to react far faster than would ever be possible with a keyboard. Using the net in anything more than most rudimentary ways requires a cyber modem, sometimes called cyber decks. You do not necessarily need interface plugs installed in your head to use cyber modems though. There are also options for electrodes or even 2D displays with a keyboard. But actual netrunners will always use plugs because actual cybernetic connections wired to your brain ensure the very fastest reaction times, and in the net, speed matters a lot. Now there is a massive amount of information on the net in which we will probably upload a video dedicated to it entirely. But for this video, we're only going to go over just a few things on the net. Icons. An icon is basically a 3D avatar you control to interact with other stuff, people, programs, things like that in the net. Icons can be as simple as a flat 2D monochrome shape to a complex photorealistic human form. Everything in the net is represented with icons, data fortresses, other netrunners, individual programs, whatever. Everything in the net is rendered in 3 dimensions. The interface program in the cyber modem will interpret the net for the netrunner. Most of the net environment is similar to the movie Tron, but the quality of rendering depends on available bandwidth and memory. It is possible to render a completely realistic environment similar to the movie The Matrix. More complex icons require more memory. For this reason, the bulk of the net uses lower quality icons, think Tron, or present-day video games. Things like long-distance links, LDLs, will also have icons associated with them. Programs in the net have their own icons and can be customized like anything else. They interact with other icons in intuitive ways that allow almost anyone to become a hacker. For example, a worm program may show an icon like a stylized worm burrow into a data wall and form itself into a doorway, allowing access inside the data fort. All people and programs in the net interact in ways like this. The 3D interface in the net is common to all cyber modems, so what you see is what everyone else sees too. The net originally had multiple interfaces that people could choose from. The 3 most popular were Megacity, where everything was rendered to look like the 1930s film Noir, a Dungeons & Dragons motif, and one that looked like Tron. Eventually the UIs were all consolidated into one, and it's now the standard for everyone. The Tron-like interface is now the default for the net. The IG transformation algorithms are a core part of the net experience. They allow the net to be rendered as an analog to the real world. They extrapolate distances to look similar to real space. So if a computer is sitting in an office building on the 30th floor running a BBS and another BBS is 3 blocks away on the ground floor, you will see the other BBS in the net as being about 3 blocks distance and 30 floors lower in elevation. Movement in the net is programmed to feel similar to the movement in the real world, and therefore moving around becomes a lot more intuitive. Net running is far less cumbersome than the conventional internet in the real world. IG transformations algorithms govern the way the net looks in other ways as well. They control how the environment is rendered in real time. For example, if the connection is unstable or there is interference, you may see the landscape morph into mountains that are harder to cross, and if it's bad enough, maybe impossible to cross. Areas of low resistance may be rendered as smooth grid lines. The exact details of the environment will depend on the region, but will be similar almost anywhere. And as in the real world, the net extends to wherever there are computers connected to it. Another interesting part about the net is the artificial intelligence, AIs, do exist in the cyberpunk world, and the net is their natural environment. There are many types of AIs. Some are deliberately created by corporations or governments, some are by accident, and some are emergent properties of the net itself. There is a great deal of debate as to whether AIs are actually sapient or merely give the appearance of sapience. But in outward appearance, AIs can be completely indistinguishable from real people. These are the types of AIs: dedicated heuristic controllers, DHC AIs. The most basic form of AI. They are barely sapient. They are designed to perform specific functions, and their focus does not often stray from those functions. Most droids from Star Wars would fit into this model of AI. An assassin droid does not ponder the nature of the universe or dream of becoming a chef. Its focus is on assassinating, and all of its thoughts will be focused on that. DHC AIs in Cyberpunk are similar. They are capable of interacting like a person and learning and improving themselves, but their focus is narrowed to the specific functions they were designed for. Symbolic analysis AIs, originally called symbolic analysis and deduction, SAD AIs. These AIs are deliberately designed to emulate human behavior. Think Data from Star Trek. The scope of their thoughts are much broader than DHC AIs, although they can obsess over specific subjects like humans do. They are almost often used as artificial assistants of some kind, online help or secretaries, for example. Human AIs. These are AIs that were originally actual people, but have had their consciousness digitized and now exist only in computers and the net. The process is often not voluntary. Soul killer programs can produce this type of AI, for example. They are otherwise indistinguishable from symbolic AIs. Job from The Lawnmower Man was a good example of this AI. What a great movie, too. Transcendental Sentience AIs, TSAIs. The mere existence of these is highly debatable. There is no consensus on whether they are actually real. TSAIs are an emergent property of various regions of the net, meaning the structures of the net itself. The IG transformation algorithms provides a network that allows these AIs to come into being. They were not programmed or created by anyone. In the same way that flocks of birds and schools of fish do not deliberately form the ordered patterns they create. But by their nature, TSAIs are so large that most people cannot interact with them. Even when they can, conventional communication is not really possible because the AIs are incapable of understanding any existence outside of themselves. They have a synclastic consciousness, which is to say their awareness is turned inward instead of outward like ours. If you were to talk to them, it would be to them like talking to yourself is to us. The shape of their consciousness depends on the nature of the region they occupy. The soft space AI is far more chaotic and fragmented than the Pacifica AI because it is using much more outdated and unreliable infrastructure. TSAIs have no code. The physical structure of the communication lines in real space and the IG transformation algorithms that go along with them are like the neurons in our brains. They are an emergent property of the net, a natural consequence of the net functions. They cannot be copied or downloaded in the same way that you cannot copy or download your personality into your own nervous system. And the last one on the list here is Critical Pathway Plateau AIs, CPP AIs. These are similar to TSAIs, but on a much smaller scale. They are AIs that came into existence by some accident. A company may be trying to create a very complex program that, by coincidence, becomes sapient. Skynet from the Terminator movie is a good example of CPP AI. These can only emerge in specific types of hardware, holographic crystal processing networks, so there is no way to create them on your home computer. Though presumably they can move into conventional systems after their creation, just like any other AI. Their personalities can vary widely. They may appear indistinguishable from people, or they may behave in completely alien ways. Because they are not deliberately programmed from the start to be AIs, the final form their personality takes is impossible to predict. There is so much more to the net that we could probably sit here and talk for hours, and we will extend that on a future video. But after learning about Netrunners, and we haven't gotten to Techie or Solo yet, but after learning about Netrunners, I am more excited than I was before to play as a Netrunner. How about you? What are you going to play in Cyberpunk? A mixture of all three? Or are you going to specify your craft to be a Netrunner, a Techie, or a Solo? Me? I can't wait to get inside and explore the Matrix inside this game. Thank you guys for joining me where we talk about Netrunners. If you did like this video, hit the like button and subscribe and join our awesome community here. And join us as we travel deeper and deeper and deeper into the lore of Cyberpunk.